Well, hi, everyone. This is Annie Esposito with Catholic Moms Connect, and I am here with Holly Weiss, mother here in Hamburg, New York. How are you doing, Holly?
Oh, very good, Annie. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Well, thank you for just making some time today to talk about some of the great work that your kids are doing. And you have 4 boys, right, aging in,
yes.
What's their age ranges?
Of 23 to the youngest is 13.
Okay, excellent. And you and I were talking about some of the work your sons are doing in media and some of the latest projects, which I thought was so interesting and inspiring as a mom, also raising children in the Catholic faith, just to hear a little bit about what they are doing and how they're using their talents to, work to help educate others. So can you tell me a little bit more about the project that your kids have worked on?
Well, some of the ones they've worked on there's a group in this area, the Erie County, called Beggars for Life, a pro-life youth group, and they raised $1 million pennies to make people aware of how much $1 million is. As they said in the documentary, which I think put it so well, they said, people think of pennies as very insignificant, not important, doesn't matter. And a lot of people think of them born like that. So they raised $1 million pennies because they were such a small parish that they figured they could handle $1 million. Then each penny represented 50 people to really bring home the atrocity of abortion. And they would go around to different parishes and do presentations, very, very neat presentations. So they asked, they knew my son were videographers, and they asked them to do a documentary on them, and also to so other people, if they around the country, could be maybe inspired to do something like this to make people aware, because they had a lot of amazing, people, incidents that happened that through their presentations that moved a lot of people and brought a lot of awareness to people. So it was something that they really wanted, and it came, and they put it on YouTube, and the rest is history, I guess.
And have your boys, how did they, or what did they learn, from working on this project in terms of the pro-life message?
Well, we've always been. I mean, they've been going to pro-life events since they were in strollers. So we've done we do all the pro-life. Our family's very involved in pro-life, and so they are really all of my boys are very strong in their faith and very, very grounded in the Catholic faith and being pro-life. So they didn't learn anything new, but it was, of course, procedurally, doing that, you learn a lot through experiences. But it was very edifying to see these young people, people their age or a little younger, being so on fire for pro-life and really wanting to stand up for the faith and for life. And so that was pretty inspiring. I think anyone who's seen the documentary thinks, that's pretty neat. These kids came together and really wanted to make a statement and move, do what they could do to really impact people about life and about the faith.
For sure. I mean, I was so inspired, and I always am when I hear young people speak. I think there's something really special about that they own it. They own that themselves. It's not just something that's been handed on to them. They really take ownership. You could see these kids really have a heart for this, all on their own now. And so in terms of, maybe you can tell me just a little bit more about some of the pro-life events. You said your family has been involved ever since they were little. So do you have anything in terms of any ideas on that, like what families can do to get involved, or what do you think has maybe had a big impact on them starting at a young age?
That's a good question. Well, I know it's very anti whatever, but we don't hardly watch any TV. we watch occasionally, but a lot of the TV is so desensitizing. Our family just doesn't watch a lot of TV. We'll watch movies, and things like that. But I think it's so very subtle how, if you do watch, for me at least, you may be impressionable, my family, we found that it was just better to stay away from it because the culture, especially in the media, is not really, unless you're watching an EWTN, it's not really very pro-family, pro-life. So it's been a real blessing to not have that part of our life. My kids read a lot. They do a lot. We do a lot of activities through our parish. A lot of prayer, a lot of education. My husband's always, kind of giving them, this is what the world thinks, and this is, what our faith teaches ever since they were young. So he's been a really good navigator, if you want to call it, to really keep them, to explain whether it's politics or whatever. He's taken the boys, ever since they were young teens, to like Lawyers to Life or, different events like that with speakers, so they could see even speakers from opposing sides to see, what, and then he'd explain to them what it was compared to our faith. So he's been really pretty wonderful about doing that. And we've been in charge of our pro-life at our parish, so he's taken a lot of our boys, like, to the service, in service. And they had, like, Bernard, my husband, was very impressed by Bernard Matheson. I think, is it Matheson, I think his name is. And he just was, very impressed in the boys. For this, ex-abortionist who's he's passed now, but pro-life, and, just the messages that they had. And, so it's, and like I said, EWTN and Catholic Radio have been such a blessing, too, to have those resources, at the ready.
Just have them on and available and keep the conversation going.
Exactly.
I know we have 4 little ones, and they're all under 8. So, but I find that just talking about it, different things about the faith, and even having our oldest, has asked what that word meant. What does abortion mean? And just starting that conversation and trying to keep the dialogue open, and just so they feel like they can talk. So far I'm learning from other moms to try to do that, and I think they're really open to it. They do start to ask some more questions, and it just seems pretty natural for us to talk about it. So I'm hoping to keep the conversations going like that. Like it sounds like.
Just as you being open to life, I mean, the kids see the witness of you and your husband being open to life and being joyful when you have another little one, or the sadness of, we both talked before about how we both had miscarriages, and knowing that life is eternally there, but not with us on earth, and just the whole, life and death, and also value for those who pass on. Because I know a lot of people, I don't know if you get this, but a lot of people are very surprised when I take my children, when they were younger, take them to funerals. And I said, well, that's part of life. They're passing from this life, but they're still with us, And it's really, they say, well, don't you want to know? It's too sad. And my kids are, and I think children, like you said, are very receptive to really understanding, well, no, they're in heaven now. And I think it really helps them in the process of accepting, especially if someone close to them passes. But that's part of post-life, cycle too. So.
Yeah, just the everyday. Not every day, but the things that happen in our life, those events or opportunities, I guess, for conversation. I know miscarriage is a really, really common experience, and I know, too, I had some role models in my family that, they were open about it with their children, and I kind of watched the other children process that situation, but I think they did learn to value that life in the womb, even at just 6 or 7 weeks or 8 or 9 weeks. They really, I think that brought home the point that there is life right from the beginning.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Exactly. And then being involved in, having to make presentations and things for the church the kids have seen, all the, all the educational things that we've had that are, appropriate for their age. Everything from Horton Hears a Who, which my husband was a big advocate to making the kids to really understand that, a person's a person, no matter how small. In fact, we just one of our last pro-life, we made a special booklet with Horton on the front, and then inside we had the different stages of development. And someone in the diocese had made this really neat thing where I'm this big and I'm 4 inches big, or and I weigh this much and I can blink. The different things to kind of make them in it, like in a gentle way, say, yeah, there's this little person there, and they can breathe and they can they wiggle their fingers, and so it's kind of cool how you can reach them in different ways.
For sure. Well, Holly, I guess just one more question in terms of, creating a Catholic home and trying to, as a mother and along with your husband, trying to create an environment where you're, living your faith day to day. Is there anything that you want to share with any of the moms listening in terms of, how you've done that, anything that you've done to try to create that Catholic space in your home?
Well, other than educate, really trying to make them aware of different precepts of the faith and their different, subjects or whatever comes up. One of the foundational things is prayer. I mean, I can't tell you how big prayer is in our life. I mean, constant, pretty much, whether it's offering up something or when my older ones were teenagers, we homeschool, and my second born was a little bit feisty, to say the least, and these boys were getting bigger than me, and the Lord really led me that I needed to use prayer as a catalyst to changing behavior, because if we need grace to be good, and I sent them up to their room, and not to say that's wrong, if someone feels called to do that, but to me, it's like they would be mad at me for whatever, infraction, large or small. And here, if we prayed together, I would be at peace. They were at peace, and I had these nice kids back again. It was just amazing, the transformation that would happen. And so with the younger ones, I have a little space because I lost a couple of them. I did that right from the get-go when they were little. I mean, if there was, they were fussy, I would do the chaplet or whatever. If there was a little altercation, we would pray, and it's amazing the transformation that takes place. In fact, it was at one time it was, well, if you see your brother doing something, or he does something, then he needs to pray. Then I tagged on to that, well, you love your brother and you want him to be, you need to pray with us too. So it's really neat to see how, like I said, I changed from this incredibly negative situation to a positive situation at the end of the prayer, and it's just amazing. So we use prayer all the time. I think I told you about the rosary. My friend, the Trumbleys, have done these amazing rosary CDs and DVDs, and I have them on a lot when I'm cleaning or whatever, because it just calms you down, when your day is hectic. The kids kind of, it seems like I have these really cooperative kids when I do this. And, and at first my husband said, well, you're making a prayer. You're forcing him to pray. That's what he said at first. And then I said, no, I want him to know if they're stressed or if they're angry or whatever. That's where they're supposed to run to. They're supposed to run to the Lord, Run to him in prayer, because you need the grace to deal with it because you're stressed out or you're angry. You need help with that situation. So I want them to run to prayer. Yeah. So it's been a real blessing in our home having that.
That's just beautiful to hear, and especially both of those ideas, just, different things that you can do, redirecting to our Lord, recentering our hearts on him, I think is what I take away from that, and really great idea. So, well, Holly, thank you so much for taking some time here to share your words of wisdom. I know, as we say, ducks need other ducks. Catholic moms need other Catholic moms.
Oh, so definitely.
It's great to hear from you, and having some of your boys now older, you can say, yes, I know this was part of it. This is part of what worked. So, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Okay, take care, and
God bless you.
We're signing out here. God bless you too.
Bye-bye.